Where do you see people getting their relationship with money wrong the most? Where are the errors most consistent in how we interact with money or how we think about our money?
So I think we get them from primarily our parents, right? Or our environment or the culture. And sometimes those thoughts, beliefs, attitudes are outdated. So if your parents, what applied to them doesn't necessarily apply to us, but we keep those same mindsets. So I think we hold on to a lot of borrowed beliefs. And until we can kind of become aware of why we do the things that we do, why we believe the things that we do about money, we'll always kind of keep repeating them. So it's becoming more aware of the things we say, the spending habits that we have, what we're doing with money. And I think once you become aware of it, you can start to challenge those beliefs. Like, why do I say that? You know, people always say, well, I've always done it this way, but that doesn't mean that it's best serving you. So I think once we start to kind of understand that we have to start becoming aware of what we think and challenge it and kind of see if it still applies or if it's still true, we'll always kind of be doing things that may not really push us towards what we want. That's why a lot of strategies work. But then people say, well, I tried that. It didn't work for me. It may not have been the strategy, but the mindset.
That's what I was going to say. So how do we determine that there is something bad maybe going on with our mindset? Because we may have attempted to get on a budget before. We may have attempted to save for a rainy day before. We may have attempted to invest in the stock market before, and it all just didn't work. It didn't have sustainability. And so people can become discouraged, like you said, around the strategies that they tried and nothing's sticking, and start to let a little bit of hopelessness set in. So how do we take these things that we tried and say, maybe it's something different, and that different being our mindset? And then how do we pull out the shovel and dig into what may be faulty in our thinking?
I think when you realize that the strategy didn't work, but you still want to do it. So before that hopelessness kind of kicks in, really determine what it is that you're trying to do. But I think people do things without understanding why. Why is this what you want to do? Why do you want to invest? Why do you want to save? And once you come up with that, what are the things that are stopping you? We all have this internal dialogue that says, you've tried it, don't try it again. But that internal dialogue, if that goes against why you're trying to do it, that's a good indicator that your mindset is off. So some of the things that you can do is that internal dialogue. What is it saying? Like, acknowledge it. It's saying like, okay, well, maybe I'm not smart enough to do that. Challenge it. Is that true? No, you are smart enough to do that. Is this are you worthy of being wealthy? Yes, that's very true. Like, we have to get to the doubts, the fears that are stopping us, and acknowledge them and work on those. Those are the things that are stopping you from ultimately doing the strategy. So it's like, you get the strategy, you say, I want to save. But then the next thing that comes up says, well, I don't have money to save. Is that ultimately true? No, it's not true. You do have the money to save. You just may have to readjust, your spending, or make saving a higher priority. Instead of making it the last thing you find money for, you make it the first thing you make money for. So it's coming up with those why nots, what ifs, why don't you want this, or it's that real internal dialogue. And once you figure out what the internal dialogue is saying, then you just disprove or deny all of those doubts. You kind of work through the fear. So, people say, well, I want to invest, but then in the next sentence, they say investing is hard. Well, is that ultimately true? No, it's not hard. You may not have found the right vehicle for you to use to invest, or maybe you haven't done enough research to start investing. So maybe going back to that drawing board, but a lot of the things that we want, we in the next thought kind of talk ourselves out of it. And that's what the problem is. We want it, but our doubts, fears, beliefs say that we can't have it, or maybe it's not for us, or maybe it's too hard, or, you know, some type of negative thought that keeps us from actually doing it. So I think the easiest way to kind of challenge those things is to reframe, and it's a 4-step process. Is this true? If it's not true, what's the new belief that you want to have? We all have incredible minds that we can decide to do something different. So if you say saving is hard, well, is it ultimately hard? No, because you can put it on auto withdrawal and leave it, and then therefore you don't even have to think about it again. And so if you say, well, is this true? And maybe the answer is yes. What's the new belief or thought that you want to have about it? You can decide to make it a positive thought, and then get some new experiences around it. If such and such is good at saving, you can too. Maybe you just need to build that confidence in letting it, being comfortable with wealth, being comfortable accumulating more than you have, because sometimes that's the problem. It's not that the strategy is wrong. Maybe it's the belief that you can't have what it is you're working towards.